Hello and welcome to the Sunbirdcrochet podcast. My name is Claudia and I'm coming to you from Germany. The 25th of January 22 and I just have about like an hour left before the sun goes down, so let's whip it. Another episode. I believe this is episode 35 and I hope I will be a little bit more organized today because I've made notes, podcast notes. So today we will have the movie for the letter M. Then I will have a little bit of crochet news, like crochet whips, and actually one whip. And then there is incoming, some yarn and some other stuff. And that's about it, I believe. Some TV, some magazines, things like that. Talking about organized, not. My Fair Lady is the movie which I have chosen for the movie starting with the letter M, which is part of the Movie and Stitch challenge, which began last year, and I'm kind of stuck in the middle, but I've decided to move on and I'm forcing myself to do the next movie. So today I'm afraid I will only talk about the movie. I haven't picked a project yet, but that's just because it might be a garment or an accessory and not amigurumi or anything small, so it will take some time. Do you know the movie/musical My Fair Lady? It is a production starring Audrey Hepburn as Eliza Doolittle and Rex Harrison as Professor Higgins. But I've made notes, as I said, so let me just go on with what I've written down and which I wanted to tell you about today. So, My Fair Lady is a musical adaptation of a theatre play by George Bernard Shaw, and the theatre play was called Pygmalion. And that, in turn, was based on a person called Pygmalion in Greek mythology. So, Pygmalion is the legendary figure of Cyprus, who was a king and a sculptor. He is most familiar from Ovid's story Metamorphoses. Now you see why I have to write this down. In which Pygmalion falls in love with a statue he had carved himself out of ivory. He loves the statue because it's perfect, so he wishes at the altar of Aphrodite for a woman as perfect as his statue. I would say he has a kind of unhealthy relationship with his statue. He kisses it, he brings it flowers and gifts, and apparently perfection is just on the outside, because this statue can't talk, it can't kiss back. He just wants a statue. That's his kind of perfection. Anyhow, I digress. So he wishes at the altar of Aphrodite for a woman like his statue, and when he returns home, he kisses the statue, which then comes to life. It feels warm when he kisses the statue again, and then the lips become soft, the flesh, the ivory is turning into flesh, so he is getting his perfect wife, and they get married and they have children, etc., etc. So that's the Greek mythology. And back to George Bernard Shaw's play, He places the story in London, where an underclass flower girl called Eliza Doolittle is changing her life by taking phonetic lessons from Professor Henry Higgins, who is a very posh and full of himself guy. Professor Higgins is seeing her as his creation and is more in love with himself than he's more in love with himself and his genius, and doesn't seem to see her like an equal person, like her own person. He's just a little toy he can do with whatever he wants. He can shout at her and talk her down, and yeah, despite that, she is still staying with him, and she's learning how to talk posh, so to say, so that she gets a better chance at selling her flowers in her life. He sees her change as his accomplishment and not her changing herself and going through all the effort and basically his hell. George Bernard Shaw lets Eliza emancipate herself by leaving Professor Higgins at the end. The phonetics lessons were a success. She is received in higher society as an equal, but still not from Professor Higgins. He still sees her as a low creature. She leaves Professor Higgins, she opens a flower shop, and she's even going to teach phonetics herself. A little bit of a disappointment for me is that she's also getting married to Freddie, who is, well, he will do anything for her, which can be boring as well, if you know what I mean. So this is the theater play. Then there is a movie adaptation of Pygmalion. It's called Pygmalion, starring Wendy Hiller and Leslie Howard. And the ending by George Bernard Shaw, that Eliza leaves Professor Higgins and stands on her own 2 feet and makes her own decisions and is her own person. That gets changed in that movie because people weren't happy that the 2 main characters didn't come together. So it's a kind of going back on her emancipation because she's returning to Professor Higgins, and yeah, apparently it pleases the audience that Eliza is putting herself down again, and in the last scene we see the back of Professor Higgins quite smug about Eliza being back, and he's asking her to fetch him his slippers. So she's back to being a domestic, like not an equal. The only bright aspect of it is that he seems to, he had a bit of a panic moment between her leaving him and coming back. He actually realized that he does have feelings for her. But it's still, it doesn't change the fact that she's putting herself below him. And quite frankly, that's disappointing. Even though I see that you want to have a romance between them, so one of them has to step down because they're so strong characters. But still, I mean, there are videos about the ending of Pygmalion or My Fair Lady, and I will link some of them down below because there are videos on YouTube about the ending of a movie. And then also, let's talk about the actual movie My Fair Lady, which is the story of Pygmalion turned into a musical. It's the same story of Eliza Doolittle, the poor flower girl, and Professor Higgins, the snob aristocrat. Is he actually an aristocrat? he's certainly behaving like one. So the only difference is obviously the actors are different. There we have Eliza Doolittle played by Audrey Hepburn and Professor Higgins played by Rex Harrison. They are singing, but as I found out, the original singing of Audrey Hepburn had been replaced by another actress singing.
Yeah, what's that you say?
It's Marnie Nixon who is singing for Audrey Hepburn. And I think there's another story about this. Let's keep this shorter, otherwise we will sit here forever about My Fair Lady. So the ending is unfortunately still the same. She's still not treated as an equal. Yeah, it's the same story, just with singing. And mind you, the singing is brilliant. The songs are actually quite brilliant. I would like to share one of my favorite lines from My Fair Lady, which is in a scene, or it's from a scene right after the ball where Eliza had her first performance. She's going out and she's attending a ball where she is that mystery woman coming from nowhere, and everyone is asking, who is this person, who is this lady? She's talking like she's a princess. And yeah, so on that ball there is the rival of Professor Higgins, who is called Zoltan Karpati, and he's an Hungarian. And after the ball, Professor Higgins makes fun of him. And he's talking about that blasted Hungarian. And he describes how he tried to lure out of Eliza where she really comes from. And that's my favorite line, when Professor Higgins describes him as oozing charm from every pore, he oiled his way around the floor. I think such a brilliant line. One of my friends, a guy, surprisingly, usually he would say that musicals are more for women, but he likes especially that movie and musical, My Fair Lady, and we chuckled about this line quite a lot already. So yeah, some more information apart from that Audrey Hepburn singing was replaced by Marnie Nixon singing. My Fair Lady has been a very successful musical, and the actress who was playing Eliza Doolittle in the musical was blank. No, Julie Andrews. That's her name. You know, the one with the famous role of being Mary Poppins. She was Eliza Doolittle. And I would have liked to see her on stage as Eliza Doolittle. Now, you might ask me, what's my project for My Fair Lady? And that's a good question, and I can't answer. Victorian and Edwardian inspirations. And we're talking about time periods here. In the UK, the time periods are named after who was queen or king at the time. So Queen Victoria, and then afterwards King Edward. Let's say let's keep this between 1880 and 1900 or 1910, or rather 1900, around that time. Okay, 1880 to 1910. That's quite a long period. I mean, we're talking 30 years. But I was looking for crochet project related or crochet pattern related to this time period, I came across another podcast. And it's not crochet related, it's sewing. And this is quite a large, deep rabbit hole I'm falling in. I'm talking about the podcast of Bernadette Banner. And she's sewing historically accurate dresses and is wearing them on a daily basis. I mean, she's wearing these beautiful costumes as her day-to-day clothes. And the techniques are fascinating. So far I've watched her making an Edwardian ball gown, which was draped across her front with a bit of muslin, and it was velvet, and it was glorious. And also I watched her making Victorian combinations inserted with lace. That was very beautiful, but lots of work, tons of work. I mean, it's astonishing me. And in case you don't know, combinations are undergarments. It's basically like a chemise attached to a pair of bloomers with an open crotch area, so that the lady wouldn't have to undress completely when in need of you know what. Yeah, so I was looking up crochet patterns for that time period, and I thought about maybe some lace, bit like a collar for over the blouse, or lingerie, or dresses, some accessories, I don't know. Oh my, there are so many things. Would it surprise you if I tell you that I have ordered a custom-made set of walking skirt and blouse and vest from HELENABLAUEROSE on Etsy, as well as, this is quite a confession time, as well as Victorian corset from INNATIOURINE. I will put the names up here. And both these shops are on Etsy, but based in Germany. And then I've also ordered combinations, aka a onesie, from MADDENIGHTWEAR, who is based in Riga in Latvia. And they're so beautiful. And it's so crazy to buy these things. I mean, when am I going to wear it? But it's so beautiful, and I love dressing up in historical costumes, just for myself at the moment. I will link to the shops down below, and I just love it. Now what I still need is a crochet project. So let me just share something else. I want to show you where you can find crochet patterns, books and magazines from the past for free. So I would go to www.archive.org, ORG, and there I would enter crochet. Then I go to the menu on the left and I click always available. So that narrows the search, so that you can only see those which you can read without borrowing it or paying something for it, you know. And these are all PDFs. PDFs are JPEGs, and there are other formats you can choose from. And then you can click on which years of publication you would like to see. So I clicked on 1880 up to 1910, I think, or 1900. You will see it. I will share my screenshot here. And then you can see all the publications. And you can just click on it, and I will show it to you now. So yes, Victorian and Edwardian crochet projects. Hit me with it. I need a project to finish the challenge. Haven't decided yet. But before I will finish this episode, let me show you some real crochet. I haven't worked on any other whips. I've just worked on another version of my Briar Rose cowl. And this is it. It's a colorwork cowl, colorwork crochet cowl. And I'm using some Advent yarn minis. You can find the free pattern in my Instagram, Linktree in my profile. And I love it. My first version was more like pinks and rose colors, and this is a version with grays and yellows. I just have to finish one more row or one more repeat of the yellow, and then I finish off with a gray, like down here. And then I will add half double crochet or reverse half double crochet border. I have a video about how I'm doing that on YouTube. I will link that down below as well, so that you can click on it directly. I hope you like it. I certainly do. So that's my one and only project at the moment. I also have woven in the ends and worked in goodness. I have also worked in the ends of my crochet shawl, which I have shown you last time, so I can wear it now. Last but not least, incoming. Remember that once upon a time I was into Empire, Regency costumes, and I still am, don't worry. I actually think I still have to show you when I'm wearing my Spencer together with a Regency dress. That will happen sometime. And I bought a lovely pashmina shawl. I talked about this before. Pashmina shawls are, if they are real, they are forbidden in the US. But this is a vintage one. No animal had to suffer because I bought this secondhand. So this is a lovely pashmina shawl. And I will wear this as a shoulder wrap. It has a little bit of an orange sheen to it. This side is a little bit darker. I think it will be glorious together with my orange Spencer jacket, or just on its own over my shoulders. The fringes are in orange. As I said, I bought it secondhand, and it says on the label, if I can find it, there, 55% pashmina and 45% silk. There. Not that this was important to me. I just love the shawl. I found it as I was looking up information about pashmina shawls, historical informations. So that's one incoming. The only other incoming is more yarn. So this is a purchase I've made from Tamivi Colors. She's an Etsy shop based in Germany as well, and she's selling acid dye colors and her own hand-dyed yarn. And I bought 3 skeins. She had a special on, so I bought 3 skeins of super soft DK in this color here. This color is called Teich, which is a German word for pond. I love turquoise green, emerald green. And one skein of the colorway Meltwater. It has little sparkles of green and purple. I mean, maybe you can see the purple. It comes rather out as grayish, but it's purple, believe me. So, incoming yarn project, probably color work, probably. So excited about these colors. Yeah, what else am I excited about? Murid magazine issue 2. The spring edition will be coming out soon. And as Alison said, she has her own podcast, as you know, and she mentioned in one of her, no, it was on Instagram. That was on Instagram. She mentioned that pre-ordering will open soon. I'm really looking forward to that. And otherwise, I'm also excited about the new series, TV series on HBO by Downton Abbey creator Julian Fellowes, and that's a new series. It's called The Gilded Age, and the Gilded Age is the time period between 1880 and 1900 roughly, where rich American heiresses married into British aristocracy. So new money marries into old, or in brackets, no money. Yes, it falls right into the period which I'm interested most at the moment. So everything calls to me like Victorian, Edwardian, fashion, and it's lovely. I started watching the first episode, and I will continue watching it. In case you haven't known about this, that there is a new TV series by Julian Fellowes, and this will be soap opera-like history TV. Go on it. Try to finish it before the new season of Bridgerton starts in March. Oh, the stress of TV. Just kidding. It feels like this episode has been hectic, unorganized despite my notes, but I still hope that you enjoyed this and that you got some inspiration out of it. And I should have said it right at the beginning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming here. And I hope you're all right and that you keep smiling. And I'm going to see you soon again. Hopefully with more crochet.